What if I told you your favorite Studio Ghibli movie secretly says a lot about you? Are you a Totoro type cozy soul, a Howl's Castle romantic, or maybe a Mononoke level fighter? Today, we're breaking down what your favorite Ghibli film reveals about your personality. Don't worry, this isn't super serious psychology. It's just for fun, but you might be surprised how much it actually fits. Because Studio Ghibli movies aren't just animated films, they're entire moods, and the one you love most probably tells us exactly who you are. So let's start with one of the most intense of them all. If Princess Mononoke is your favorite Studio Ghibli movie, then you're probably the fighter. You're passionate, intense, and you don't back down when things get messy. Where some people avoid conflict, you lean into it. When you see something wrong, you feel this pull to step up, even if it costs you. Ashitaka's calm determination and San's raw fire mirror two sides of you. You want balance, but you also crave intensity. Big emotions don't scare you. In fact, they make you feel alive. That's why you'd rather dive into chaos than sit quietly and watch life pass by. You're the type who thrives in heated discussions. Friends might call you too intense, but honestly, you just care deeply. Black and white thinking is comforting when the world feels overwhelming. It's simpler to pick a side and fight for it than to live in constant uncertainty. If Princess Mononoke is your comfort film, it's because you see yourself in the struggle, the push and pull between destruction and healing, anger and peace. And just like the movie, your story is never really about choosing one side. It's about finding the courage to fight for what matters most. Let's be real. If Kiki's Delivery Service is your comfort movie, you're probably the burnout creative. You want independence, you work hard, and sometimes you forget that resting doesn't mean failing. Just like Kiki, you've had moments where your spark seems to vanish, and suddenly the thing you love most feels heavy instead of joyful. You're the kind of person who used to thrive on being the talented one, the reliable one, the one who could always deliver, but now you're tired. Maybe you even feel guilty for slowing down, like if you're not producing something, you're wasting time. That's why Kiki's story resonates so deeply. It's a reminder that your worth isn't tied to your productivity. At your core, you're searching for balance, a way to keep your independence while also learning to rest. You're drawn to gentle recovery stories because they give you permission to breathe, to make mistakes, and to still feel loved anyway. If Kiki's Delivery Service is your comfort movie, it means you're a dreamer who's learning that even when your magic falters, you're still enough. When Ponyo is your favorite Studio Ghibli film, it usually means you're the chaos child. Playful, full of energy, and impossible to predict. Just like Ponyo crashing into Sosuke's life, you have this way of storming into situations and shaking everything up. People never quite know what version of you they're gonna get, but they know it'll never be boring. You thrive on energy. High stimulation, big emotions, dramatic shifts. That's what keeps you alive and kicking. Quiet, slow environments can feel suffocating, like you're crawling out of your own skin. You need motion, color, noise, something to spark that excitement. Honestly, stillness feels unnatural. And yeah, sometimes that means you get restless. You'll pick up a hobby, obsess over it for 2 weeks, then drop it as soon as the next shiny thing comes along. But that's just who you are. You're powered by curiosity and momentum. At your best, you bring joy and laughter into people's lives. You're the friend who turns a dull night into a story everyone remembers. If Ponyo is your comfort movie, it's because you see yourself in that whirlwind of chaos, magic, and pure childlike wonder. If Spirited Away is your favorite Studio Ghibli movie, you're what I'd call the survivor. You're the type of person who can be thrown into completely unfamiliar territory and, after the initial shock, still find a way to adapt. Just like Chihiro wandering into the spirit world, you might start out hesitant and overwhelmed, but your strength always shows up when it matters most. You're not the loudest or the flashiest person in the room, but you're resilient. When life gets messy, you don't freeze. You improvise. You find the door no one else noticed, a solution no one else tried. It's not about being fearless, it's about moving forward even when you're afraid. And that's exactly what makes you reliable in a crisis. People who connect with Spirited Away often have stories of being pushed outside their comfort zone. Maybe you had to grow up fast, carry responsibilities that weren't always fair, or face challenges earlier than you should have. That's why Chihiro's journey feels personal. It mirrors that transformation from uncertainty to quiet confidence. At the same time, you're drawn to mystery and magic. You like stories that remind you there's more to life than just survival. Because even in your hardest moments, you still believe in wonder, in kindness, in finding your way back home. This masterpiece says that deep down, you know how to survive. But even more importantly, you know how to grow stronger through it. If My Neighbor Totoro is the movie you always return to, you're the gentle soul. You crave peace, simplicity, and comfort in a world that often feels too loud. Totoro fans tend to appreciate the little things. The sound of rain on the window, a quiet walk under the trees, or the feeling of safety that comes with being home. You're probably someone who carries a lot, but instead of running toward chaos, you run toward calm. Totoro is slow, cozy, and filled with a small everyday magic, and that's exactly what you're drawn to. When life feels overwhelming, you don't want drama or intensity, you just want a reminder that things can still be soft. Sometimes people think choosing a gentle favorite means you've had an easy life, but really it might mean you've had enough stress already. You're exhausted and need something that heals, something that reminds you that innocence and kindness are still out there. At your core, you're the kind of person who values connection, safety, and warmth. If Totoro is your comfort film, it says you know the real magic of life isn't in the battles or the noise. It's in the quiet moments. If Howl's Moving Castle is your favorite Studio Ghibli film, then you're the romantic dreamer. You're drawn to stories filled with mystery, beauty, and a touch of chaos. Howl himself is brilliant, dramatic, and maybe a little unreliable. And let's be honest, that's exactly the kind of energy you find fascinating. You're the type who thrives in a world that isn't too calm. Stability is nice, but if things get too quiet, it almost feels suspicious. You'd rather live with a little drama and excitement than settle into a routine that feels lifeless. And yes, sometimes that means your relationships or passions are complicated, but that's part of the charm. At your core, you crave love and belonging, but you also fight to maintain your independence. Sophie's journey is one you connect with deeply, learning that strength and self-worth don't come from appearances, but from believing in yourself. If Howl's Moving Castle is the story you always return to, it says you're someone who wants adventure, romance, and magic woven into your everyday life. You know things might get messy, but that's okay. Beautiful chaos is exactly where you feel alive. To Call the Wind Rises, your favorite Ghibli film, is to admit that you're drawn to stories of vision, sacrifice, and the bittersweet pursuit of passion. Jiro's story isn't filled with magical creatures or wild battles. It's about persistence, vision, and the cost of chasing your passion. And if that resonates with you, it probably means you understand what it feels like to be consumed by your goals. You're the type who pours yourself into projects, sometimes to the point of forgetting everything else. Work, art, or hobbies become more than just tasks. They're ways for you to process your emotions and leave a mark on the world. It looks impressive to others, but sometimes it comes at the cost of balance. People who connect with The Wind Rises often see the world in poetic terms. You notice small details, find beauty in fleeting moments, and carry both hope and melancholy in equal measure. If this is your favorite, it says you're a dreamer who knows life is fragile, but you still believe in building something worthwhile, even if it's imperfect, even if it's temporary. For people who hold Castle in the Sky close to their heart, adventure is more than a passing interest. It's a calling. This film speaks to those who love mystery, exploration, and the thrill of chasing something just out of reach. Laputa isn't just a floating island. It's the dream of discovering a hidden world. And that's exactly the kind of wonder that pulls you in. You're the type who struggles to sit still for too long. Routine feels like a cage, and you're always looking for the next big thing. A new place to explore, a new project to start, or a new challenge to overcome. Action and momentum are what keep you alive, while stillness feels heavy, almost unnatural. At your best, you're curious, bold, and ready to dive into the unknown. Even if you don't have all the answers, there's a part of you that would happily risk everything for a glimpse of something extraordinary. When Castle in the Sky is your favorite, it reflects a restless spirit, one that believes there's always more waiting to be discovered, as long as you're willing to take the leap. Loving Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind usually means you're deeply empathetic, someone who feels the emotions of others almost as if they were your own. This film draws in people who care about connection, compassion, and the fragile balance between humans and nature. Nausicaä herself embodies that spirit, strong not because she dominates, but because she understands. You're the kind of person who notices small details, a change in someone's tone, a shift in mood, the unspoken weight in a conversation. That sensitivity can feel overwhelming at times, but it also gives you the ability to connect with people on a level most can't. You don't just want to watch the world heal, you want to help heal it. Fans of Nausicaä often believe that kindness is strength, not weakness. You might feel drawn to causes bigger than yourself, whether it's protecting the environment, standing up for the vulnerable, or trying to bring harmony where there's conflict. When this story resonates most with you, it says you value compassion above all else. You're the kind of person who proves that even in a world full of destruction, empathy can be the most powerful force of all. Fans of Porco Rosso often have a very particular energy. You're witty, world-weary, and a little rough around the edges, but underneath it all, you're a hopeless romantic. Porco himself might look like a pig, but he's charming, principled, and endlessly complex. That mix of humor, cynicism, and hidden tenderness is exactly what draws you in. You might be the kind of person who hides behind sarcasm or jokes, using humor as a shield when things get too heavy. People might think you're detached, but really, you care more deeply than you let on. That balance of, I don't care and I care too much, is part of what makes you who you are. What makes Porco Rosso special is how it blends light-hearted adventure with quiet, melancholy themes. If this is your favorite, it means you're drawn to stories that don't sugarcoat life, but still manage to find beauty in it. You believe in standing by your values, even if it costs you. At your core, you're someone who's both tough and tender, a cynic on the surface, but a romantic at heart. And honestly, saying this is your favorite Ghibli movie is legendary. So, after all that, which one are you? Are you the gentle Totoro type, finding joy in quiet moments? Or are you secretly living inside Howl's dramatic moving castle? Maybe you're a Mononoke fighter, charging headfirst into chaos, or a Ponyo chaos child, shaking up everything around you. Each favorite reveals a little piece of who you are, whether that's your resilience, your sensitivity, or your craving for adventure. And listen, if you're still standing strong with Porco Rosso, respect. That's not just a pick, that's a statement. Absolute legend status unlocked. Whichever film sits closest to your heart, that's the beauty of Studio Ghibli. There's a story for every mood, every season of life, and every type of person. Some of us see ourselves in the chaos of Mononoke, others in the softness of Totoro, or the dreamy magic of Howl's castle. So now it's your turn. What's your favorite Ghibli movie? And did this little personality test get you right? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear. Thanks for watching The Hidden Totoro. Stay cozy, stay curious, and keep the Ghibli spirit alive.